Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 10, Episode 53, overall 548 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and yours truly has been a customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet for the last 25 years. I hope everybody is doing well on this. I can't believe it's already Thursday, June 12th, 2025. I was going to say 2024, but it's 2025. And I'm just thankful I'm able to go on the air today. StreamYard had a little technical difficulties with their website earlier on, and they obviously, the IT guys, got it fixed. So I'm looking forward to today's show. I have a special guest on today, and this is her first appearance on our show. Her name is Jasmine Ellis. She is a stand-up comedian, podcast host like myself, and she's an entertainment journalist based out of Los Angeles, California, and I believe she's originally from Arlington, Texas. We're going to bring on Jasmine and see where she is right now. She's got a comedy show tonight.
Hey.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I am good. I am doing really good. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, getting ready to perform tonight, so I'm super excited.
Have you performed there before?
Sorry, I decided to change the frame and that did not work. No, I've never been to Albuquerque before. I've never been to New Mexico at all. So I'm excited to check off one more state on, the goal is to get to all 50 very soon. So we're one step closer.
Being in Canada, any plans to maybe come internationally and over to Canada one day?
Write the check. People don't realize how bookable I am. They're always like, let me know. And I'm like, let me have money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very I like performing comedy for money. So if you know anyone who wants to book me and has a great space and, will pay my rate, I'm down. I have a valid passport. Am I sure I can get back to the United States? I'm not sure what is going on right now, but I want to perform anywhere I can get on stage. So I'm going to Alaska in a couple weeks. I'm going to Mexico in a couple weeks, doing the cruise ship circuit a little bit. So I'm open to whatever. I've been trying to go to Canada, actually. The last 4 years I've auditioned for Just for Laughs, and I just have not made that New Faces showcase, but you never know what's going to happen.
I was just at a comedy club in Toronto 3 weeks ago called Second City. It's like the Second City in Chicago. It's really famous for a lot of comedians. And one of my friends who's a comedian in LA, Mary Kennedy, she just performed here 3 weeks ago, and it was nice to see her. It's one thing to meet somebody virtually, but it's another thing to see them perform comedy in a club. And right now we need more comedy in the world.
I think so. It's interesting though, because I do think we live in an incredibly both stressful and funny time. So there's this really big zeitgeist. Like, you can get on 5 different apps and hear the funniest opinions from strangers in a constant flow. So it is really hard to disrupt that. It's hard to say something different that people haven't heard a million times. That's actually why I've kind of become less of a topical comic, and I'm sticking more to telling my own story, because it's just simply like, if I go on stage and talk about news stories, by the time you hear me at 9 o'clock at night, you've seen 100 comments that are like similar. I don't know if I agree with the statement we need more comedy. I think we need better comedy. I think we need people who love comedy for comedy's sake. And I hope I stand out to people as that.
How much did the pandemic affect the comedy industry and our politically correct society nowadays too?
I feel like that's two questions, so I'll answer them both. I think the pandemic completely changed the way clubs structure shows. So what happened is during the pandemic, and I lived in Los Angeles, so I'm going to call the pandemic. Well, I lived in Austin and Los Angeles, but I'm going to call it pandemic from March of 2020 to let's just say March of 2022. So for those 2 solid years, it was very unpredictable if you could perform live. And what happened is a lot of mover and shakers who were naturally funny but didn't necessarily do stand up got big on social media, and they changed the way that clubs operate now. And now clubs would rather be closed than not make 100% profit. So if a person can't sell out every seat, they don't want you, which has made it really hard for people like myself who, have like 70,000 followers, which like isn't nothing. But compared to someone with 2 or 3 million, it is nothing. So it's this thing of the industry's changed a lot, and how you do comedy has to change and has to adjust. And so I am kind of exploring other avenues and also doing a lot of social media content and talking about food and clothes and other things, because I know I can't make a full-time living just doing stand-up. Now, as far as the political correctness thing goes, I think that is first of all, I think political correctness is how to explain this. It is a talking point for people to feel like they're being oppressed when they're not. All it is that people from minority groups and people from oppressed groups are speaking up and saying, hey, I don't like this. But here's the thing. Anyone who claims to be canceled is never actually canceled. Every canceled comic is still touring, and most of them make more money than those of us who have a conscience and care about what we say and how we feel about people. So I don't believe in cancel culture at all. I don't think it works. I don't even think we're getting more PC. In fact, some of the biggest names right now, the Shane Gillises, the Tom Dillons, everybody from that entire he's got like the weird slack jaw. What is his face? Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony Hinchcliffe, Joe Rogan, that entire mountain of people are building it on cruelty, not even humor. Just the idea that if someone, a liberal would be so upset if they heard this, and it's a bunch of people just like sitting around salivating at the chance to offend someone else without actually saying anything funny. And I'll probably not work for saying things like that, but I don't care, because I don't want to make art that is limited to the worst of us deciding what the best of us can do. But yeah, they brought back the R word, like the F word. It's all about cruelty. It's all about a white guy saying the N word. It's all about pushing the limits for the sake of pushing the limits and not actually crafting good jokes. So no, we're not living in a PC society at all. In fact, the mere suggestion of PC made white men in power push back against it so hard, because they were like, you can't tell me what to say. You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to bring back this slur. And they won. They're making so much money. They're making so much money. They're filling out arenas. PC culture is not real. There is no punishment for being cruel. If that were true, Trump wouldn't be president. So there's no consequences whatsoever for being a bad person, at least not on this earthly plane.
Jasmine, how much of an adjustment was it going from Texas to California, and being a comedian and you've traveled a lot? What are some differences between West Coast humor and East Coast humor, if there is any?
Ooh, okay. That's a great question. So the adjustment for me moving from Texas to California, was where I was at in the pecking order, which I knew. I was in Austin, Texas, and I left Austin in 2020. So I was there for 3 years. And then before that, I was in the Dallas scene for 4 years. So I had gotten pretty established in Texas and was like a local regional headliner. The concept of a local headliner doesn't even really exist in California, because the biggest names in the world live right there. So you're lucky to get on any show and get any amount of time with these huge names. So I had to go back down the line and kind of like prove myself again. I'm a regular at Comedy and Magic now. I'm working my way towards being a regular at the Store. I'm working my way towards being a regular at the Improv. I wanted a challenge, and I knew it's just so interesting, because at the time when I left Austin, and this is going to sound a little cocky, I felt like I was hitting my head at the top of the kiddie pool. I was like, I've done what I need to do. I recorded an hour special. I've toured. I've done colleges. Like, I don't want to be the big dog in Austin. And then during the pandemic, so many of those people I was just ragging on came to Austin, and they change things. So when I come back to Austin, it's actually been very difficult to get stage time. And it's been interesting too, because some of my fans from Austin will say, hey, I really loved you last time. Who else going to be on your show? Because I went to such and such club and they were saying racial slurs and it made me super uncomfortable. Like, should I come? And so the Austin scene changed in a really weird way. Now, to answer your second question, the difference between East Coast and West Coast humor, America's amazing. America's so amazing. And California is amazing because there's so many, I mean, down to the street corner, there's so many different styles of humor. I've noticed two major things, though. Californians don't know how hot they are. Like, the average Californian has no idea how attractive they are. So it's like blisteringly attractive people who think they're smarter than they are. And so they try to be smarter than the joke, and they try to like guess your punchline and say it with you. And it's always the most obvious low-hanging fruit. And it's like, if you could just shut up and just relax, like, smart sometimes. They try to get ahead of the joke. New Yorkers do not have time for you to get to the point. New Yorkers and most people on the Upper East Coast, they're like, get to the joke. They don't like a lot of fluff. So it's kind of funny. It's like LA, they want you to kind of come out, make fun of yourself, make fun of them, you know, introduce yourself, earn the right to talk to them. New Yorkers are like, get to the joke, make me laugh right away. Then you can tell me who you are. So the same set and I'll flip it. I'll open with like, I'll go straight into material and open with like a strong punch in the East Coast. And then I'll do a lot of like, I look like if the Kool-Aid Man and Barbie had a party. I don't know. I was just freestyling about the shirt, but like something like that. And whereas like Southerners love a stream of consciousness comic. They love feeling like they're just listening to their friends. Southerners and the Midwest, the middle of the country, which is really where I feel I do the best. Chicago, Dallas, Minnesota, DC, and yes, DC is East Coast, but like, I don't know, the middle of the country, they want to know you and they want you to make you laugh. So I'm a stream of consciousness comic. I hit those punches as I'm telling a story, and they're all for it. But I think LA people are just like, when is someone famous going to come on stage? And New York people are like, how much longer till this is over? And they're both incredibly impatient, and they control your career. And I don't know, the rest of the country is so cool. Like, I'm definitely not a coastal elite by any means. I'm a girl from the suburbs who really likes the suburbs. I'm sorry.
And in your comedy career so far, what's the toughest audience you've had so far? And is it harder to do stand-up in front of a bigger crowd or a smaller crowd from your perspective?
Ooh, okay. The toughest audience I've ever dealt with, I would say, was very early in my career. It was a billiard room in East Dallas, and the people there did not know comedy was going to happen. So they're there trying to play pool, and I'm just standing there telling jokes. And then the space was like 80% male. And I mean, a lot of men barely want to listen to women they like, let alone a stranger. So that was really difficult. I was like a year in. So that was like 12 years ago. But I still remember how bad that bomb was because I just could not get the crowd on my side. And usually, like, you know, I can show the dimples. I can tell a couple personal jokes. I can riff with them. I can get them on their side. They just would not give. Now, as far as your question, is it harder in front of a big crowd or a small crowd? Small crowd. With a small crowd, you can see every micro expression. You can hear every sigh. Everything feels super personal. For me, the bigger the crowd, the easier it is. Big crowds are a cakewalk. Like right now, I'm in Albuquerque. As of yesterday, there was only 8 tickets sold. So I went around to restaurants introducing myself to people to try and get them to come to my show because I need a crowd. I mean, listen, I'm going to give, no matter who shows up, whether it's 8 people or 800 people, I'm going to give them the show they want. But it's like when you're part of a big, large crowd, the laughter spreads and it feels easier to get around versus when it's a small crowd, everyone's still looking around at each other for permission to laugh. It's very strange.
In all your time as a stand-up comedian, have you ever had stage fright or seen a comedian have stage fright where they kind of shrank in the spotlight?
Ooh, honestly, no. And I'll tell you why. It's because I was a theater kid first. And I went through a series of horrible auditions and freezing up and choking at the last moment. And I feel like That just shook that out of me. So by the time I started stand up, I was like, we're all adults here. I don't care. Nothing matters, I don't really get stage fright. I do get like a little bit of anxiety and nerves. And I have anxiety. I have anxiety and I have acid reflux, which is so funny because I don't eat before I go on stage because my stomach is just like, evacuate, get it all out, fight or flight mode. So I'm typically, I don't know. I honestly think I'm funnier when I'm really hungry too, because I think I'm grumpier. And I think that comes out more to people where they're like, oh, this lady's pissed off. And it's like, yeah, because I'm starving. Now laugh. And then whether I have a good set or a bad set, I'm going to eat afterwards. So, yeah, I definitely think I've never had a stage fright moment, but that's just because of my acting background before my comedy background. Now, as far as witnessing stage fright, I see it the most at open mics, and I hate it because, especially open mics in LA, the audience is other comics, and other comics are so unforgiving. Honestly, my best advice to any up-and-coming comic would be don't start in LA or New York. Don't. Even if you can go on a family vacation to freaking New Mexico and go do an open mic, do an open mic where you know no one, where the audience is civilians. That is how you can actually test if your stage material, if your stage presence and your material works. Your friends and family will give you a false positive. Other comedians will give you a false negative because they're trying to intellectualize everything. They're not a real audience. You want strangers that are not comics.
Jasmine, what are your thoughts on open mic versus improv, especially for somebody that's just breaking into the industry? And how competitive is the comedy industry since you've been in it?
Interesting question. It's changed so much, but every scene is different. So I started in 2013 in Dallas, and at that time, I like to joke that there was almost like a kind of West Side Story Sharks versus Jets situation, but it was improvisers versus stand-ups. And the two should never meet, and they're two different things. And you can't be alone on stage, and you need to take a class to figure out how to wipe your ass. And you're a sociopath, and you have no friends, and you're an alcoholic. Like, it was like that, right? But now that there's this third thing that's doing better than both of us, the internet comics. Now I have noticed stand-ups are so much nicer to improvisers, and vice versa. And I think it's because we know that our real competition is people who get big on the internet. And those are the ones who get the most work online. So the difference in which one you should do is basically, what are your long-term goals? For me, my long-term goal, and I'm just going to say this, I like speaking this out into the universe. I want to host late night. I want to be the first woman to host major network late night in a prime time spot. Shout out to Taylor Tomlinson. Great work, but she was on at midnight. I want that 10 o'clock spot. I want right after the evening news. I want where Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon are. I want that spot. Is that possible? Not if I don't try. Does it sound hokey? Sure. But whatever. I'm only 36. I might be 60 when I get it. Who knows? Late night might not even happen in 20 years, but I'm going to keep doing things that get me in alignment with that. And for that, to me, the things that are in alignment are stand-up, acting classes that are specific for stand-ups, and playing comedic roles that are really still in my own character. Essentially, I don't play characters, I play myself, because myself is the brand. Whereas if you want to be like a Will Ferrell, if you want to be if you want to be an SNL alumni, if your thing is to be part of a troupe, part of a scene, to disappear and become characters, improv is for you. That's the thing. And then the thing is like, the social media comic is definitely next in. Social media comics are more coming for stand-ups throat than improvisers throat, because they're a whole other thing, So anyways, yes, if you want to be an actor / comic and you want to disappear into roles, you need improv. You need to learn how to bounce off other people. You honestly need both, though. You do. You super need both. But for me and my long-term goals, hosting, television, I stand up as my focus.
By the way, we have somebody watching on Facebook, and she was one of my guests this week. Her name's Nicole Blessing. She's a stand-up comedian out of LA, and she's from Minnesota as well. And I love doing this show, and I always learn something new from my guests. I wanted to ask you this as well. How much overall, do you feel that you've improved as a comedian since 2013? And can you just tell us about the importance of branding and marketing yourself, especially now on social media too?
I've got that closed. Sorry, my going off. Am I still here? Okay, great.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so since 2013, I think for me, this is gonna sound very cocky. I think I was naturally good at stand up. I think the problem was is I did not understand how to lean all the way into my voice. And so my first couple of years, I was listening to a bunch of people who didn't really understand my voice telling me I didn't have one. They're like, no, it needs to be more set up, punchline, act out. Do it like this, sound like me, do like this. And I was at a point where like everyone was trying to sound like Anthony Jeselnik, and there was just no room or space to be the kind of comic I am, the stream of consciousness, observational, witty, girl type of comic. And it is kind of disheartening because sometimes I'm like, I should have just been in my car making videos. I could have been just hilarious by now, but whatever, because she's on a different path than me. What's for you is for you, you know? But I've improved so much because I've learned to lean into my own voice. And that came with performing at colleges, being the only one on that stage, having to figure out how to work my material for different times. I just got myself out there and kept pushing. And the voice came with work. Do I recommend classes? Maybe for some people, but you are going to, I've noticed that people who take the same class kind of have the same cadence and delivery and style, even if they have different materials. So there's something to be said for at least a couple of years of finding your own voice. So honestly, nothing like that. It just comes with time. Now, to answer your other question about branding is incredibly important. But a brand can also be a box. So it's important to expand what you do and keep reaching out. I would describe my brand as like relatable, funny girl talk. I'm not only for women, but I'm very much for women. I want women to know that if they go to my show, they're not going to be the minority there. I actually care quite a bit about a lot of issues and things affecting the African American community. So I speak about that a lot, especially mental health. So my special is called Black Girl Panic. Building a brand, I wish I had the expertise on it. I'm still figuring it out. For me, it's been a lot of straight to camera videos where I just share my point of view, and those have helped me with the consistency. I'm starting to wear like the same colors over and over on stage, kind of developing an image that's kind of consistent, a wardrobe that's consistent. But I'm not a branding expert. I think if I was, I'd be more famous. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
I have another viewer. He's a friend of mine from Buffalo, New York. He's a podcaster as well. His name is Robbie Schneider. He wanted me to ask you, what made you become a comedian in the first place, Jasmine?
I wanted to. Uh, that's such a vague answer. No, I wanted to. I wanted to make people laugh. I love making people laugh. I didn't grow up thinking I could be a comedian just because I'd never really seen anyone else do it. I didn't know anyone in real life who did comedy. But the aha moment came for me when I was 24 and 23, and I was working at a department store. And one of my coworkers had done comedy before, and he was just listening to one of my rants about customers, and he was like, this is jokes. Everything you're saying is jokes. Like, you already speak in jokes. You need to just get up there and do it. I had done radio. I had gotten a degree in communications and broadcasting. I had acted. Like, I loved being in the spotlight, and I love being in the spotlight for my own personality. I just didn't realize I was already doing comedy. I just didn't realize the stand-up part until I got on stage for the first time with my friend Cody and just went with him to an open mic. And honestly, going to like, people make open mics into this really difficult thing. And I'm telling you, if you just show up, you will realize the range of talent from absolutely amazing to terrible varies by the minute. And you'll be like, oh, I should just do it. We try to gatekeep it too hard and make it seem like it's some superpower. Just do it. Honestly, the funniest person is not who wins, it's the person who works the hardest anyway. So just start. You can't start the hard work until you actually start it.
As a comedian, how important are observational skills?
Huh.
Observational skills.
Observational skills. I think very important. You need to be aware of what's happening with the crowd as you're on stage. See, I think, ooh, that's a good question because, and again, not to keep poo-pooing on the social media comics, but that's one of the hills I've seen them come through. I'm friends with a couple of comics who started on social media and are getting into stand-up later. And creating in your bedroom, you turn a camera on, you're the editor, the director, the color grader. You're basically making a short film, but what you're not doing is controlling a live circus. Like, yeah, like internet comics are directors, stage comics are ringleaders. Okay, we are balancing so many things. The stream of consciousness in our own head that's going on as we're observing what's happening around us, the stand-up that we already wrote, the jokes that we were thinking about employing. I'm a big observationalist, and I know some people, they just come on stage and they do exactly what they wrote no matter what's happening. That's never been my style, which honestly might be why I'm not that famous yet. Listen, it's because there's all these industry auditions like for late night and JFL and things like that. And when you audition for them, they want you to do this perfect tight set. They want you to do the same perfect tight set that you audition with, that you submitted with. They want you to hit it each time. What, ba, ba, ba. And I like to look at the crowd and see what they're responding to and change directions and move. And so I crush more often than not, but I'm not doing this polished perfect set every time. So anyways, I feel like that makes you a better performer overall, but it doesn't make you as easy to sell.
Before a live performance, Jasmine, do you have any rituals or superstitions that kind of help you calm and relax and focus for a show?
Oh, for sure. I like to spend, let's see, like a day like today where I'm headlining, I'm gonna make sure I'm alone at least for a full hour before I go to the show. You can't, because I like to be in a good headspace to meet the other comics. I don't like when a comic comes into the green room grumpy, asking everyone to be quiet, like, oh, I need to get in myself. No, do that at home. Do that on the plane. Do that in your hotel room. So that's what I do. I spend the hour before I get there, like at least mapping out the beats of the set I want to do. I eat something light. I I love doing my hair and makeup. I know not everybody likes that. Some people like going on stage barefaced. Putting on makeup for me is like putting on war paint. Like it gets me in the headspace. I will usually play Beyonce's B-Day album, something very high energy. B-Day is great. Nicki Minaj, the Queen album. Like just something that just kind of puts me in that I'm that bitch energy that like gets me excited to do something. So good music, light snacks, plenty of time to get ready. Yeah, I kind of treat it with the same energy I used to treat going out to the club. Like I'm gonna have a good time regardless of what's happening here. I like to, especially on a headline night, I'm gonna change. Even if I was wearing this, I would put on something else for the day. I like to I like my outfit to be fresh and I just put it on right before I got on stage. I guess I care a lot about my physical appearance, but it just makes me feel like I put care into it. I never want to feel like the audience outdressed me. You know what I mean? Like they got dressed up to come see me. I'm gonna dress up to come see them. So yeah, my ritual is really putting myself together, pouring into myself. I might even say some affirmations, which sounds a little wacky, but it's like I just I affirm how grateful I am for the opportunity. I'm like, I am so grateful I get to do comedy. I am so grateful anyone bought a ticket to see me perform. And I am so lucky that I get to do what I love. Point blank, period. I don't think about the money. I don't think about the ticket sales. I don't think about who's coming, who's not coming. I do like to turn my phone off, like once I'm on the venue, honestly, because once the people who are booking me know where I am, I don't need my cousins and everyone being like, "Where do I park? What time do you go on? Leave me alone. Leave me alone." So I just put myself in the right headspace and I go rock it.
Who were some of your favorite comedians growing up, both female and male, and currently
Okay.
today, besides yourself?
Good question. I'm glad you said male because I don't like men. And it's just so hard. I'm like, who is a male comedian? Are men funny? Like, okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so growing up, like before I actually started stand up, I was like a preteen and I would watch Comic View on BET. And so I was a big fan. Bruce was the host for years. I loved his energy. I remember watching the Kings of Comedy, the DVD. My dad had it. I loved all of it. I especially loved DL Hughley and Steve Harvey. And I can proudly say that like DL Hughley knows me. I've been on multiple shows with him. Like he's good people. He's very nice. He told me I was so fucking talented the last time he saw me. And it's like I have to hold on to little victories like that. Like 10, 12-year-old Jasmine was like, "Oh, that's the king of comedy." And the king of comedy has my phone number and I've been on his show before. So very cool. Very, very cool thing to think about. And then of course I watched the Chappelle show growing up. I love the Chappelle show. I like Killing Him Softly was one of the great. I still think Killing Him Softly is one of the greatest specials ever. I met Dave Chappelle briefly in LA. He was kind of a dick. I also don't love the way he has continued to double down on the trans community, so he's not my fave. But listen, people change, people transition. I think what makes him disappointing is he refuses to change. But anyways, he was one of my favorites coming up. Great people I love now. Oh my gosh. There are so many funny people who are right at that precipice of like blowing up. Langston Kerman had me in tears. His newest special, Bad Poetry, on Netflix is so good. Rob Hayes is so damn funny. Who else have we had on recently? James Davis is a hoot. I have a comedy show in LA called Laugh Good that I host every last Friday of the month. It's at a yoga studio, and we really focus particularly on having Black voices, and we've had some great people in there. So I can talk all day about guys that I think CP is so funny, and CP just released a special. So those are three people just off the top of my head that I just adore: Rob Hayes, CP, James Davis, just super funny. God, there's so many good ones. Now, as far as female comics, the comic that made me want to do comedy was Wanda Sykes. The very first special I watched in its entirety was Wanda Sykes, I'm a Be Me. And that just like turned a light bulb on for me. I was like, wait, this is actually, I feel that's the first special by a woman I watched in its entirety. But that just like lit a fire up in me because of the way she delivers jokes and ties the stories back. I think storytelling is, everyone can storytell, but storytelling is a deeply maternal gift. Like it is a gift that comes from being a woman. And no, I don't want to sound like a turf, like trans women can't tell jokes, but I just feel like we get so much shit about being too detailed and why do you say all that? But like women know everything. So it's like, whereas men need to figure out how to flesh out stories, women, we just have to trim the fat. Once we trim the extra, those stories are so juicy. They're so good. So I love Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes is my number one. I'm a huge fan of Leanne Morgan. Work with her a bunch. Like definitely a stream of consciousness comic. Really, really enjoy. There's so many killers in LA who are just so funny, who I really, really enjoy. Gosh, like I'm trying to think. Lori Kilmartin. Lori Kilmartin is a doll and one of my good friends. I really enjoy her. Jackie Cation as well. Maria Bamford. Joelle Johnson is fantastic. Chanel Ali is such a great writer. Oh, Vanessa Gonzalez is so good. I mean, and Vanessa Gonzalez is one of those people. Oh, and Maggie May. Those are both people who were in the Austin scene. And I saw how well they were doing. And I was like, I want to move to Austin. I feel like that's a place to thrive. And it was at the time. So I can name names all day.
Jasmine, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you find there's more female comedians now than there were, let's say, even 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think there's two reasons for it. I think the prominence of social media comedy has actually helped women get into stand-up, which is why I don't poo-poo on social media comics. Because comedy clubs can feel like a very hostile space for women. You have to go out at night. There's a lot of pressure to drink. Most of the audience is going to be men. You feel uncomfortable. The club owners are men. I mean, some of the comedy clubs, I remember a club I started at said that they wanted to have like a Hooters vibe. So it was going to be funny guys on stage and hot girls serving. And if you're a woman, you disrupt the flow of that. Then you're just some lady nagging, you know? There was I think even 10, 12 years ago when I started, it just felt much more hostile to be a woman. And now, especially since the pandemic, so many people made a living talking straight to camera, being funny as hell on camera. And all of these women who are huge on social media, I've noticed some of the biggest comics from the social media world are women. They're able to translate that to tickets. And I have noticed too, when it comes to like the stand-ups who are kind of terrible from the internet, it's more often the guys and the girls, because women are held to the standard of like, if you have a bad show, you are a bad comic. You're bad at this and you represent your whole gender. Whereas a man can just have a bad night or just be unfunny. Like we're constantly having to prove that we are funny. So yeah, there's definitely more women. And I think the social media aspect has really changed so much. There's so many people who come from the internet and they're not going away. They're not going anywhere. So I'm just trying to join them.
And I'll be honest too. I started this new career in radio media 5 years ago, self-taught, and I had people tell me you have to get on TikTok, and I was like, I'm too old for this. TikTok's nonsense. I learned how to promote my guests and create content from TikTok. So if you use social media and the internet the right way, it can help you get into a new career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jasmine, if you're still good for time, I'd like to play one of your 5-minute videos from your YouTube channel, if that's okay.
Let's go.
Okay, and I watched it already. It's funny as anything. And everybody, please subscribe to Jasmine Ellis's YouTube channel. And I'm going to play this clip right now. Let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
I think it's funny how like women can get together, and if we wanted to, we could do anything. We could rule the world. But the first thing we do as a group is we're like, oh my God, do you want to make yourself smaller? Do you want to like get skinnier with me? And then like if you make a mistake, I call out on it. Like it'll be so fun. We can grow. I hate it. I used to work in an office that was all women, and like they'd have these diets that they do. They just change it up, Atkins, keto, whatever, each month. I'll never forget this day. My boss came in and brought us a box of donuts to thank us for a good month. Yeah, that's a nice gesture, isn't it? It's an innocent, kind thing to do. You would have thought it was a live bomb. People were crying, running down the hallway, panicking. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I closed my door on him. I was like, I don't want him in here. I don't need the stress. This girl I work with, Crystal, she comes running in. She's like, oh my God, Jasmine, did you see? They have donuts in the office. They have donuts in the office. What are we gonna do? I don't feel safe. Should I call HR? What are we gonna do? And if you hadn't guessed it, Crystal was white. Right? She was a white person. And the thing is, sometimes white women, especially in the workplace, they need a little Octavia Spencer. Okay. They need a little Viola Davis. They need a little Oprah in their lives. They've watched too many movies where a white woman is guided through life by a strong Black woman. And I'm not the one. I am so not the one. I'm crying with you. Like, but she was looking at me, you know, those big blue eyes, like, help me. I don't know what to do. And I was like, look at me. Crystal, look at me. Look at me. You gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Now I know it's hard. Lord knows it's hard. The whole point of that joke is like me coddling a white person. And all these white people just laughed at me coddling a white person. I can't undo that damage. But I looked at her and I said, listen, I have a plan. Now you gonna take half a donut. And I'm gonna take half a donut. Because we in this together. And nobody has to eat a whole donut. And she said, oh my God, Jasmine, you would do that for me? Bitch, I had 3. Like, gonna make it 3.5 for you. Oh man, they make it a whole thing. I don't know. I feel like I tell that joke sometimes and people are like, oh, you're always ragging on white people. So hang on for the next couple of minutes. Hang on. I am in a relationship now with a person who happens to be white. That's just part of what makes him okay. That's just part of him. I don't know. He does happen to be white. It's weird though, because I feel like in this country, even though interracial dating and interracial marriage has been legal for a long time, it's still kind of frowned upon. People still kind of have certain ideas in their head about who should be with whom, and they get uncomfortable with it. It's weird, you know? So When I first met him, I was a little bit wary just because sometimes white guys approach me very differently than how black men approach me. They're not just like, oh, hey, how's it going? They're more like, say, girl. I don't know what that is. I don't know why they think they need to be like a bootleg black man to get a black woman, but it's the literal worst. They come up and they're like, man, I see this whole cinnamon, nutmeg, caramel, mocha, chocolate frappuccino. I'm like, what are you ordering? Girl, I'm just trying to say I like chocolate. I hope you get diabetes. Back up. It's the worst. It is the worst. And it makes me mad because I know other women don't deal with this. I know white women are not minding their business and people are like, all right, cottage cheese. All right, whole milk. Looking like some whole milk. Like nobody's doing that. They just get to live their lives. I'm very wary of that kind of white guy. I'm also very wary of like the kind of like, I would have voted for Obama for a third term. I just want to make that clear. Like, I think you're the best, you know? And like when we're together, I really think this is what Martin Luther King wanted, you know? That's the dream. These are all quotes. He's cringing so hard. Yes. Get your people, bud. Get your people.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for letting me play this clip. And congratulations on your debut comedy album called Trash Baby.
Yes, that was Trash Baby back in 2019. And it's so funny. I feel arrogant being like, I still like it, but I still like it. So I'm very glad. Like, I'm very glad I still smile when I watch it. I think some people look back at their old stuff and they're like, ugh. And there's definitely things that I feel that way about, but I'm still very proud of Trash Baby. Like, I'm very glad I did that.
Now, I've had a number of comedians on from Canada, the States, and the UK, and I have had some of them where they don't have any content on YouTube because they're saying there's a lot of stealing their materials off of YouTube and social media. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, they're 100% right. It's true. Literally, if you were to search me right now, Jasmine Ellis, you're going to find a bunch of my videos on other channels being monetized and people making money off of it. How to explain this? It's actually a sign that I'm doing good. I was just thinking about this. I call this the lafufu theory. Do you know what a labubu is, my friend?
No, be honest.
Okay, a labubu is a little monster toy doll that you attach to your purse, and it's very hard to get. And they sell out super fast. They're only like $30. It's not that big of a deal. But they've become a huge deal because of the existence of lafufu. Now, lafufu is a labubu that's bootleg. People call it lafufu because it's fake. All right. I feel like I didn't even know what labubu was until lafufu came out. As soon as people started bootlegging and faking it, suddenly I was like, oh, I guess this is worth something. And I kind of wanted one. So unfortunately, being plagiarized, having your work stolen is just a sign that your work has some amount of street value. If no one is copying you or reusing your stuff, it's not worth the engagement. Like, I know a lot of people are shameless, but that's what they do. They just post other people's stuff constantly and they get monetization from it. And honestly, it's not the worst thing. What you got to do around that is just brand really well. Like, whenever I make a video, like even for today, like I made sure to make my name my handle at Jasmine Ellis Comedy and just put Jasmine Ellis. Anytime, like that video, not watermarked enough. That was 2019. I don't know better. Now I would put a very clear watermark right behind my head at Jasmine Ellis Comedy. Now, this person who's monetizing it on this channel with, 1 million followers, because every day they're called like funny stand-up clips daily and they're stealing shit from Jim Gaffigan. Well, if my stolen clip is next to Jim Gaffigan's stolen clip, then people watching Jim Gaffigan's stolen clip are now aware of me. And when they want more Jim, they go to Jim. And when they want more me, they go to me. I hate to say it. It's ugly. It's gross. If they ever ask to use my material, I'm damn sure going to ask to get paid. But getting your material stolen actually helps you get more followers. I'm not advocating stealing my material, but it does help you get more followers. It sucks. You just can't control it. So you just do a good job of branding yourself. using your most authentic, most recognizable, even most annoying version of yourself. How do I explain this? You know how not Beyonce, you know how Britney Spears has that like signature, oh yeah, 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 like that like baby growl? That's not the only way she can sing. She had like a very clear Broadway tenor voice. But when she started using this one particular sound that we only associated with her, it's branding. So it's like if you're so yourself that when people hear a voice, like, you know, on social media right now, TikTok, people dub over your voice. But if they're like, that's Jasmine. Yeah, that's no, only Jasmine says stuff like this. Then I've built a brand. So just watermark the hell out of your stuff, create some consistency and some branding in what you do. Like,
any plans, Jasmine, for a book in the future about your career?
a book. That's a good idea, actually. I hadn't thought about a book. The next thing I'm doing, I'm actually putting together a variety show special. So, you know, I told you I had this dream of hosting late night, and I am essentially using the resources that I would to create a special to show that I could do late night. So that's the big thing that's going to be coming out before the end of this year, which I'm really excited about. I can see myself doing a book in the future for sure. I've thought about, I was doing a clean comedy master workshop, and I was thinking about turning that into an audiobook and then turning that into a workbook as well, just because that's something I do feel like I have expertise in. Like if there's two things I know a lot about, it's makeup and performing stand-up. But the thing about it is the comedy in colleges has really dried up. So I need to kind of retool. And that's what's great about me doing the next couple of months of being on the road doing cruise ships is I'm going to learn as I go as far as like cruise ship clean. So I feel like I just don't have enough experience to really talk about that particular experience. My experience is really focused on colleges, and colleges have dried up. And you have to be writing what is relevant to your audience. So yeah.
Do your homework too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about maybe doing some live streaming performances for people that are in Canada, like myself, or internationally, where they can see you perform live streaming too?
You know, that's a good idea. I think maybe next time I headline, I'll add a live stream element to it. I think that would be a good idea. And honestly, at this point, we got to restructure how we do things. Like maybe in-person tickets need to be cheaper and streaming needs to be more expensive because people just don't want to leave the house. I think I might start live streaming shows, actually. It's not the worst idea.
For those people that are watching this show live stream and audio and they've never seen you perform before, Jasmine, how would you describe your comedy style?
I would describe it as a fun conversation with your older sister, who is maybe in the middle of a nervous breakdown, but it's pretty entertaining. I'm observational, I'm witty, I'm relatable, I'm a storyteller, and I try to be a problem solver. So a lot of my jokes are me theorizing on how to make the world better. It's a lot of, well, what if we just, and I make people laugh at kind of the ridiculousness of the ideas. But yeah, it's a observational mixed with storytelling.
Do you get your audience really physically involved as well?
No, don't touch me. Sit your ass down. Like, you don't need to be physically involved in any way, shape, or form. This is the no, I do a little crowd work, but honestly, I'm old school in the way that I was taught crowd work. So for me, crowd work is like what you do when you need to control the crowd. If you've lost them, if they're distracted, like when that check drops, that's when you incorporate that crowd work. But I'm not a big crowd worker. I'll never start a set with crowd work. I'm just really good at jumping into jokes that will hook them and get them involved. But that doesn't mean going, what do you do for a living? How long have y'all been together? First of all, if I'm the headliner and I'm the third person to go on stage, the whole front row is already gonna ask that shit. So no. Listen, if you wanna be asked questions, go to a psychic. Go to a therapist. I'm a stand-up. I'm gonna entertain you. Relax. You know? I do crowd rest comedy. That's what I do.
They always say comedians are kind of a cheaper form of seeing a shrink.
I don't agree. I think most of us need to see a shrink. Like, That's why me and that lady are close. I call my therapist all the time.
Going to put you on the spot here, Jasmine, before we wrap this up in a couple of minutes. Have you thought about one day teaching and coaching comedy in the future?
Yes, very much so. I taught a clean comedy workshop that was really well received. I still owe some of my students feedback now that I think about it. I would love to do that if I got to the point where I didn't also have a day job, just because I'd want to give it my full attention. And right now, my bandwidth, I'm just too spread thin. So, if things shake out better in LA and I get like a good acting role and then I'm in between, I would teach. I definitely would teach. I think there's a lot to learn. And I think having younger instructors, to my knowledge, I don't even know very many Black women instructors. I think having that opportunity to have a POC, a youngish POC instructor could be really nice. So there is a need there. I could see myself teaching. I really could.
What's your biggest strengths as a comedian, in your opinion?
My biggest strength, my ability to pivot, my ability to pick up on what the crowd is responding to and pivot to other things. But it's also because I'm so much of a writer. I used to think that I was more of a stage presence comic than a writer comic, simply because, and I hate to say this, but a lot of people have no stage presence. So then you're like, oh, well, his jokes are great. It's just he can't write. And I realized that, no, I got a really good equal amount of both. So I'm able to pivot to another joke I already wrote because I put that work in, whereas some people don't do either. And they're kind of like, oh, I'm stuck. I don't have anything. I'm able to pivot no matter what the situation is. The amount of times I've done like theme shows or been asked to write something about such and such company or such and such CEO. And like, I always tell myself, I'm not going to run out of water. I am the well. And I trust that I have more material coming. I just fully believe I can always write more. So you can't steal from me. You can't copy me. You can't take from me. Like, I'm just always going to have it.
Can you tell us about your role as an entertainment journalist, and what have been some of your most memorable stories and interviews you've done so far in your career?
Ooh. So with entertainment journalism, I'm actually working my way back to that. I've been reaching out to different organizations, trying to hit up different premieres and things like that. I went to school for broadcast journalism with a focus on entertainment. And so that's what my dream was when I was in college. Then I graduated and kind of ended up pivoting to radio. And I was working with some small organizations, DFW reporting, Let's Go DFW. DFW stands for Dallas Fort Worth. DEJ, Dallas Entertainment Journal. There you go. That's all three of them. Oh, and Fab Dallas, Fashion and Beauty Dallas. So I work with those different organizations and I got to interview some really cool people. AJ Crimson was a phenomenal makeup artist. He was known for working with Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks. I was a huge fan of his. He passed away, unfortunately. So it's just very memorable that I got to speak to him before he died. It was huge interviewing Janelle Monáe. I'm a huge Janelle Monáe fan. So just getting to be in her space was amazing. She was very nice. My questions weren't the greatest. My Kevin Hart interview actually was pretty embarrassing because I could tell he was just tired and did not want to be interviewed. And so later on, when I ended up like on stage with him and working with him, like I always wonder if he knows I'm the same Jasmine Ellis who did that one off-putting interview. But it's given its take. Sometimes these things are great and sometimes they're not great. I've interviewed a lot of comics. I interviewed D.L. Hughley. I know he remembers that. Margaret Cho, that one she had to just stop mid-interview because she had to get on stage. It was like we timed it wrong. I've had a lot of really cool experiences with it, but I'm just hoping to work with a really good crew and do better interviews soon.
What are your thoughts on the current shrinking radio industry, and do you feel that live streaming is the future of radio broadcasting going forward?
Ooh, I'll be honest, I don't feel like I'm well-versed enough to give an opinion on that because I have been so out of the loop with radio. It's interesting. I'd have to look at the numbers and the factors and see how much live stream traction actually gets. Because another thing is, during the pandemic, it was like the unleashing of live streaming. Everything could be live streamed. But then what happened is we got to this point post-pandemic where now people just want to do everything on their own time. They don't want to see a movie when it's out in theaters the only 10 times that are available. They want to watch a movie on demand. Everything is on demand. So when you're like, oh, this is when the show starts, people are like, oh, is there 9 o'clock? Is there 7 o'clock? Well, people just don't want to be told when to do anything. So I don't know how well live streaming is doing. I'd be curious to know. I've noticed when I go live, I was getting a lot more viewers go live on Instagram and TikTok. I was getting a lot more viewers during the pandemic than now. People are just, they're hybrid schedule. They're half working, they're half not working. They're going. They're doing everything at the same time. Everyone's kind of half paying attention and they're everywhere at once. So I don't know how successful it is. I'd have to get more research on it. What do you think? Do you think it's shrinking? And do you think that live streaming is the future? What do you think?
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you. When I started this 5 years ago, I couldn't get any guests on, but I kept working at it. I had a friend from TSN here in Canada. He believed in me. He gave me some advice. And now I've had over 600 guests, 600 shows, and I have listeners in 45 countries.
Wow.
And it's just, this is something I have a passion for. I didn't go to school for broadcast journalism. I've had to do this the hard old school way, self-taught in that. And it's really, without this technology, I wouldn't be doing this right now. So I really do feel that live streaming is the future, because I see a lot of radio stations now doing what I've been doing for over 5.5 years, broadcasting live streaming. And you got to get yourself out there on social media. When I first started this, Jasmine, I had all my settings to private and stuff like that. And somebody said, hey, if you want to go into radio or get yourself out there, you got to open yourself up. And I have done that with being on TikTok and all these social media sites.
Yeah. Getting comfortable with being perceived is hard, though. I understand. I feel like for everyone who's had trouble getting on social media, don't beat yourself up about what you haven't done. Don't look back. You're not going that way.
Celebrate your victories. Celebrate your
Celebrate
victories. Yeah.
Focus on what you can do next. And also, this is the craziest thing, but one of my influencer friends said this to me: all engagement is good engagement. And I was like, this person called me fat and ugly. Yeah, they commented. The algorithm doesn't know what the words mean. It just knows up. And now I'm just like, let me get that engagement. Engagement is engagement.
And congratulations on being a podcast host. How often do you record a show, and where can people follow it?
Okay, so the new show is called Y'all Wild, and the first episode is dropping this Wednesday. I'm recording every Friday. So I record on Fridays, I drop on Wednesday. I actually might try and go the StreamYard route. And
I love it.
Figure out how to do this part and maybe do the streaming part through Patreon so they can see it live. And then the edited version will go on YouTube. I could do something like that. But I'm very excited. The trailer dropped yesterday, so Wednesday.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. Y'all Wild is essentially, it's me wrapping up pop culture, news, I call it this social pop culture, where it is these micro events, arguments, things that blow up that are just between normal people. Like last week, it was a conversation where one girl felt like another girl outdressed her at her own birthday party. So I had this whole thing called the attack of the birthday-zilla, talking about the pressure young people feel to have birthdays that are as big as weddings, and like going into that, going more into depth with that. And I always leave it a little bit of advice. It's almost like it's like if Judge Judy listened to Beyonce. Like it's very like I'm passing judgment, but I'm also having fun. So it's called Y'all Wild. And yeah, just tune in, subscribe now to my YouTube channel, and you'll see it next Wednesday.
I've already subscribed to your YouTube channel and look forward to your first episode. And I can just talking to you, I can just tell how passionate you are. And whatever career you do, it's important to have that passion.
It is. And I love helping people. I love entertaining people. And I fully understand that can transform into a lot of shapes. I am not nailed to the if it's not stand up, it's not me thing, because I realize that's a cage. That is being like, I can only do stand up as a cage. There's so many different ways to make people laugh and make them smile. And if sometimes it's not on stage, sometimes it's in this little box, and so be it. I'm here.
Absolutely. And I do this with all my guests when I wrap up a show. What are some fun facts about Jasmine Ellis that your fans might not know about you?
Ooh, I'm surprised you did that as a wrap up and not an icebreaker, because now I feel comfortable enough to do that. Okay, a fun fact people don't know about me. See, I'm such an open book. Everybody knows everything about me. What is there to not know about me? I've been rock climbing. I don't give rock climbing energy. What else? I've been rock climbing. I am growing an herb garden at my house right now. It's probably dead because I don't trust that my husband watered it. I'm actually one of 5. I have 2 siblings that you see more on my socials because we had the same mom and dad. But my dad had children before I met my mom, so I actually come from a pretty big family. I'm one of 5. My dad is one of 8. My mom is one of 7. I have a lot of cousins, so big old Cajun family. So
Being from Texas, I gotta ask you this: are you a Dallas Cowboys fan by any chance?
I'm a nobody fan. I hate sports. Boo! Boo
Okay,
sports! Give the
that's
money
okay.
to the schools.
That's okay too. That's okay too. And I was gonna say, this show I started 5 years ago was all sports, but I also decided I wanted to make it a full talk show. So I do everything, and it's important, whatever career you're in, to be diverse with topics and guests. And also, I love the storytelling aspect, and I learn something every time I talk to a guest. And I'm sure you feel the same way when you do your comedy as well. That
Oh,
you
for sure.
learn something every time you go on stage.
I do. I really do.
Finally, we're going to wrap this up with a new segment I created on this show. It's called Ask the Host CDP, a question segment. Do you have a question for the host before we wrap it up?
So for me to ask you,
Yeah.
what's your biggest goal as a creator?
My biggest goal is to keep creating good quality and growing my audience. And if I can't get into a radio station in a traditional station, I want to continue to get more sponsors for my show and continue to grow my audience and my brand.
Well, I am speaking life into that, and that is going to happen for you. I believe in it, friend.
Well, thank you so much. And what I love about this show is connecting with all my guests as well. It's just amazing. And this technology, it really is amazing how it shrinks the world down.
It really does, because now I know 2 people in Canada. Look at that.
Oh, geez. So I'm one of them, right?
Yeah. Do you know Mike Carrazza?
Not personally, but that name sounds familiar.
Very funny stand-up out of, I think, Toronto. Just absolutely adore him. He's done JFL a bazillion times. So funny. Every time I see him, I'm so happy. Yeah, just great comics. So that makes 2, and you're both so nice. So the
And
stereotype about Canadians being nice holds strong.
that's true. And I'm not far from Toronto, so you know what? I'm gonna look him up. And
Mhm.
and next time I'm actually in Toronto this weekend. I'll look him up and see if he's performing.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Yes. And hopefully one day we see you here in Ontario as well at some point.
I'm hoping for it. Let's make it happen. I know a little French. I can go to any part of Canada.
Have you
Maybe
been to Canada before? Have you been to Canada before?
no. I just know French from Louisiana. I'm like, bonjour, comment ça va? That's all I got.
And you got to try poutine, French fries, gravy, and cheese curds.
That sounds crazy, but
It
I'm
is.
open to it. Cheese
Okay.
curds? What's
Yes.
a curd of cheese?
I guess it's a Montreal special, but poutine is one of our favorites. It's not the healthiest food for you, but it tastes good.
I'm an American. I don't care that much about healthy
So,
food.
so you guys have too much choice over there.
Oh, we really do.
Too much choice. Hey, Jasmine, finally, where can my audience follow you on social media, your YouTube channel, and just tell us some of your upcoming live comedy shows and any more entertainment journals, any more entertainment journalist assignments coming up?
Well, first of all, you did a fantastic job of having my socials against that bottom that's been going the whole time. Genius idea. But if you guys notice the consistency there, I'm on everything at Jasmine Ellis Comedy. I am on Twitter at Jasmine C. Ellis. So that's the only thing that's different. Everything else is Jasmine Ellis Comedy. I've got a special you can watch, actually 2 specials you can watch on Amazon Prime right now. Nobody's Queen, which is from 2021, and Black Girl Panic, which is from 2024. 2 very different specials. One is 15 minutes long, and it's a clean special about marriage. The other one is almost an hour long, and it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more language, and it's about mental health. So 2 different vibes, but still very funny. I think you'll enjoy them a lot. So please watch my specials. As far as touring, I'm actually working on building a tour right now. So if you're independent bookers right now, I don't have any management, so I'm handling everything myself. I'm very accessible on any of those websites you see right there. Any of those pages, just click the email at Jasmine Ellis Comedy. Talk to me, send me an offer. I'm I'm trying to do like y'all. I'm just trying to make comedy happen in these cities, but I just want to break even and not get murdered. So as long as we can get me, you know what I mean? As long as we can get me on a flight that doesn't crash and a hotel that doesn't get broken into, I'm down. I'm really down. This summer, I'm really focusing on putting out great work into the world. I'm doing some cruise ships. So if you're on a Carnival cruise, you might see me. If you're on a Norwegian cruise, you might see me, but I'll be out there. So just follow. I'm very accessible until I block you. So don't get blocked. Just be my friend.
And make sure you don't get seasick on those cruises.
Ginger really helps, and Dramamine makes a ginger version. I did it the first time I did cruise, and it really helps. But you know when I actually got sick was when I was coming off the cruise. The next day I woke up and my legs had gotten so used to overcompensating for the waves that when I was standing on still land, I thought I was still moving. And so I was walking around my house like, baby, is it an earthquake? Like I could not stand up straight. It was horrible.
And make sure you don't break a leg tonight. And I want to say thank you so much, Jasmine, for giving us over an hour of your time. Continued success in your comedy career, especially. And you have an open invite to come back on my show again as well. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch with you. And give me a little bit of time tonight, and I will send you the video, the audio, and I will edit the video into some reels and clips as well and tag you on social media.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, and have a great show tonight, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, that concludes Season 10, Episode 53, overall of 548 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph-Automall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com. Guys, as we wrap up this show, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by barrycullen.com, is going to be on Monday, June 16th at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 11 a.m. Eastern with special guest Denise Bodan. She is the CEO, executive producer with Fugo Pictures, and she is a filmmaker out of Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario. I have another episode tonight of live streaming. The Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and myself is going to be tonight, Thursday, June 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 on the West Coast, with Marlene Sharp and myself. And our special guest is going to be comedian Chica Loco. She's a comedian out of Delaware in Pennsylvania in the Philly area. And she's also now a pro wrestling ring announcer as well. So check out the Small Talk podcast, Season 3, Episode 6, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 on the West Coast. Marlene Sharp, myself, and Chica Loco as well. And I want to say thank you to my guest again today, Jasmine Ellis, for coming on here today. She's a stand-up comedian, podcaster, and an entertainment journalist out of Los Angeles, California. That wraps up episode 548 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. We'll see you on Monday, June 16th at 11 a.m. with special guest Denise Bogdan. And tonight, check out the Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and myself, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 on the West Coast with Chica Loco. I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you back here in a couple hours for the Small Talk podcast.
Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube,